Welcome to the Dangerous Man Podcast, where we talk about how to become a better man, take responsibility for our mission, create value for others, and the many failures and lessons we've learned along the way. Stay dangerous. Welcome back to the Dangerous Man Podcast, guys. This is your host, John Kostohris, joined again by dear friend and guest, Peter Gjengdahl. What's up, Pete?
Yo, dude. What's going on?
We got our smooth jazz playing in the background. Not something you guys have the pleasure of hearing as listeners, but we feel like we were just chilling on the couch and we got our blankets on. It's in the basement. It's the cold of Minnesota, and we're drinking our water and just vibing. We're like, you know what? Why don't we just press record and just hang out with the boys? You know what I'm saying?
Just see what happens. See where it goes.
Absolutely. So, yeah, man. How about it? What's with it like? This is such a random thought, but it's something I know I can always talk about because I just care so much about it. When it gets cold in Minnesota and it starts snowing, and then it goes, just kidding. It's not winter anymore. And then it starts melting.
Dude, I get so upset. Like almost, I'm not going to say I get violently upset, but there's something about, I want it to be like 26 to 28 degrees all winter long. If it stayed right in that range, it would be cold enough for the snow to always stick. And then it wouldn't get like super slushy,
gross
and nasty. And then we wouldn't have like those polar freezes where it's like, haha, this week it's negative 18. And that's just the actual temperature. Like, you gotta be kidding me.
Right, not like wind chill.
Yeah, or then wind chill, negative 59 degrees. And, dude, enough is enough.
Because here's what will happen. It will, for those who are maybe from the warmer regions of the world, snow is when it gets cold outside, colder than 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which is whatever zero Celsius.
0 Celsius.
I know a thing or two about science. And then it stays frozen, just like ice in your freezer. But when it melts, it gets just above 32 degrees, and then it starts melting. And then it gets cold again because the sun goes down, it gets cold at night again, and then it all freezes, and then it's just ice.
Everything's ice. The world is ice.
And nobody likes ice in Minnesota. Driving is terrible.
Ugh.
It's fun when you're ice skating. That's about it.
Yep.
But if it was always just like snow and it stayed cold, it wouldn't get as icy because there wouldn't be as much melting.
Correct. It would be wonderful if it didn't do that like freeze thaw thing.
Yeah.
For like those who go ice fishing and such, what the ideal would be is for probably about 2 weeks before we get any snow, we would have like an Arctic freeze where it would be like 0 degrees. It would be just 0 degrees, but absolutely no precipitation for 2 weeks straight. And then it can snow. Because that 2 weeks of like zero or like even negatives, like if it's like, okay, it's cooling down, and then it hits zero. And we have that for like 2 weeks, you get a really, really good freeze on the lakes and the rivers. And then when you want to go out ice fishing, the ice is really clear. So it's really easy to see through it, and you don't have there's no snow mudding that water up. So you get a nice, good, safe ice to fish on. You only need 5-6 inches max to be like safe walking on ice. Not even, 4 inches is fine.
Driving a car on ice.
Driving a car on ice, I think they say it's a foot or more.
Yeah.
Preferably like 18 inches once you start bringing trucks and stuff out. But it's hefty. I know up on Lake Mille Lacs up in northern Minnesota, after the lake freezes over, they plow, the city plows come out and they plow a highway right down the center of the darn thing, and semis and everything take it because it's faster than driving all the way around. So like middle of the winter in
So
Minnesota, the lake becomes a freeway. Like I had buddies during high school who would literally like, oh yeah, it takes me 15 minutes less time to get here in the mornings during the winter. And I was like, why is that? And they're like, because I can drive straight across the lake. I'm like, that's just the most Minnesotan thing I've ever heard.
Oh yeah, don't you know?
Oh yeah, you bet there, bud.
Up north there, bud.
Oh yeah, just drive across the lake. Don't need no boat. Can just take my truck.
That's so good.
So cool. But nowhere else in the world. Okay, nowhere else in the world. Well, I mean, there's other places in the world, but like
Probably like Switzerland or something like that.
maybe Switzerland.
They have snow there, I think.
Yeah, they have snow. I'm gonna say Alaska, definitely.
Canada.
Yeah, Canada. I'm sure that they see some cold weather up in Canada.
We basically refer to ourselves in Minnesota as the Canadians of America, which is
okay.
slightly
Some
true.
people do. I think that Canadians are just Minnesotan Americans.
Ah,
but that's
they
because
took it from us.
Yeah, they stole it from us. Yeah, we're the OGs. No, I don't actually know. That's just my heart. So don't quote me on that. I mean, you can, but you might be wrong. And I'm fully willing to commit.
If Peter's wrong, you might be wrong.
Yeah, if I'm wrong, which that's not often. Okay, no, that's not true either. I'm wrong every now and then. And I'm willing to admit it when I am wrong.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes me a man. No, I'm joking.
That you admit when you're wrong.
Admit to fault. I mean, that's definitely part of being a man, right? You have to be willing to admit when you don't know what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Oh man. How's life treating you? What's new?
What is new? Well, I'm starting an online business.
All right.
Which I've alluded to on previous episodes.
Yeah.
But one thing that I got into, so my lifelong, as Peter knows a little bit more, kind of what I've done most of my life is play music.
Yep.
I'm a drummer, guitar player, piano. And that used to be kind of like what I wanted to do full time all the time. So for a couple of years, I was, running around gigging, playing music, doing sound as an engineer, recording music and stuff like that. And I made the pivot into doing sales after I listened to Grant Cardone, and was just such a fan of Grant's. Just his story was so like captivating, and how he was just getting after it, building a business, and the ability to kind of learn a skill like sales and be able to learn persuasion and how you present different products or services, how you can, find out what people's needs are and what their problems are, and help them kind of get to the bottom of it through the products and services, the solutions that you provide as a business. All of it was so fascinating to me. Sales is such like a cool science, and like I love reading books about that just in free time because it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
There's so much psychology mixed into it, and I think a lot of people hear sales and they just think of maybe some sleazy people that you hear about, or
the infamous used car salesman.
Oh yeah, right. And yeah, there's definitely some junk out there, some people that are unethical, but it's cool getting into the space of a lot of the guys that are actually like, teaching about sales, and some of the best guys in the world at it, building these big businesses. And they're like, no, we build it on a foundation of ethics.
Yep.
We are ethic. Like we can't help them if they aren't the customer that we offer a solution for. Like we're not going to try to get them to get our money from us, because it doesn't matter. Like we can't help them.
Yeah.
They could go and talk bad about you, or just like they'll end up refunding. Like they won't end up really being one of your kind of customers. You just waste your time and energy, and your, every business is spending money to acquire a customer, a lead, an opportunity. Whether it's like if you're running ads online, you're going to spend money to get an ad in front of people. And if you're just going to have people click on it that aren't even interested, that's just a waste of money. And so to be like, oh, we're going to try to get everyone to buy our product and just trick them all into buying it, it's like, that's not even how it really works. If you actually go into the psychology of how humans work,
They
just won't buy it if they're not interested. They'll only buy it in the first place if they had interest.
Yep.
So the only way you're being sleazy is if you're selling something that doesn't work.
Or they don't need.
Right.
If someone doesn't need it, then don't sell it to them.
Like I can never sell like iPads or something. Like I believe in iPads and I believe certain people have a big use for them and I'd want them to have it. But if I'm just like pushing products down people's throats, like that are just like luxurious things that they don't care about, it's like that I don't care about, it's like, I just wouldn't be very convincing.
Right. Absolutely. I know like in the health and wellness industry, if you have someone come into your store, let's say you own a GNC and someone comes in and they're like, all right, I want to, get fit or I want to have these things. And you are just like, all right, perfect. Like, here's all these products that are going to make that happen. But that person doesn't have like a solid foundation of them going to the gym every day or them having the right diet. Then if you just sell them all this stuff, it's not going to do anything for them because they're not doing anything already to make themselves better. So now you've just made them spend money in a sort of unethical way because it won't do anything for them. They have to have, supplements and vitamins and things of that nature. You have to be already doing something in order for it to help you, because that's what they're there for, is to help you. Not necessarily vitamins, but supplements.
Yeah.
And so if they're not doing the action already, then them spending money on it is useless. I know First Form has a big thing where if someone comes in to buy stuff, their employees will literally be like, "Oh, what's your workout routine? What's your diet like?" And if that person's like, "Oh, I don't actually have a diet right now," then I'm not going to sell you this. They're like, "Wait, what?" They're like, "You don't want my sale?" And they're like, "No, I want you to succeed. So you need to go and properly like set yourself up for success. So I want you to go, hit the gym for a month and a half and then like build that habit and then come back. And then I can really help you." And people are like, "Oh my gosh, like you didn't just like try and get my money from me." It's like, no, because it's unethical. It's about how can I serve you again?
Yeah.
Back on the service.
It comes into our lives so frequently. This disposition, this I focus on giving, right?
Yeah.
And think about it. It's like if you're just focusing on how can I get money out of you as a person, isn't that just going to be kind of distracting from really listening to who they are as a person? Like I love your example, and you could take it a step further and be like, "Hey, I'm trying to lose weight. Like, which product could help me here?" It could be like, "Yeah. So what are some of your plans and goals with losing weight?" It's like, well, first of all, you need to understand what even they're trying to do to understand what might help get them there.
Yep.
So you just have to give a damn about them to even be able to do business with them effectively, to even like form that kind of partnership that's going to be like our business aids them towards a goal. That's why we're there. We're there to serve and help. Every business does some kind of service, but what you need to realize is that service is giving and is helping people. And if you just focus on doing that, like you set up your products and solutions to solve people's problems. So just listen to the problem, back to the story there. Oh, like maybe they're trying to lose, 30 pounds in, 2 months, 3 months. Okay, 10 pounds a month.
Easy.
And it's like, okay, great. Like what kind of food, what diet are you on right now? Have you been, just trying to learn a little bit and wait and listen to them kind of, I haven't really done anything with that. It's like, okay, yeah, just let me describe how, like, these are a couple weight loss products that we offer. Typically, I'm just making this up here. I don't know a ton about it, but like this works really well in conjunction with this kind of a diet plan. Yep. Or, something like that. And it's just like, you explain to them like, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, you could just say this will solve all of your problems, but then you just be lying to them.
Right.
And if that's the foundation you're building business on, it's like, well, they're just going to come back and be like, that didn't work. And they're going to write bad comments about you. And it's like, did that really help your end goal of like, I think we trade these moments of like, I can get a lot of money quickly by being sleazy, but it's not the long-term game, because long-term, those people aren't going to stick with me as long-term customers. They're not going to be raging fans. They're not going to be like, they're not going to tell their friends that they should do business with me because how much they believe and how much I can help them.
Absolutely.
And so like we trade a short-term gain for a long-term, that's why it's like time is our biggest asset. If we're playing the long-term game, we don't care about like, if I have to be sleazy with someone to get a sale or be unethical because I think I need to get all this money right now. It's like it's easier and it's actually more beneficial for my business to let them go. Like, actually, I can't help you, and let them go.
Yep.
Like, and if we actually believe that there's no more customers out there for us, then there'll be another one. There'll be a better fit for us. And I think people end up getting too like, I don't know. What do you think about that dynamic, Pete?
I think it comes down to when we have conversations with people, instead of listening to respond, you're listening to solve a problem. So you're like, how can I help you? So when I have conversations with people, a lot of the products I offer through my business are like health and wellness, sports nutrition. And so like, I'll be listening to the way that a person talks to me, and like, I'm paying attention, not to just what they're saying, but how they're saying it. And also what the body language is. Because some people, it's like, oh, this person has been favoring their right leg this entire conversation. All their weight is kept on the right leg. And then the moment they put it onto their left leg, they winced. Hey man, is your left leg doing okay? Like, are you good? Oh, well, my knee has been acting up. I got this joint pain going on right now. Hey, you know what? I actually have a joint health supplement through my online business. Is there any chance I can just get that to you and you try it out? Let me know if it works. I'm just looking for feedback. No cost to you. Just I'll give this to you. And then it's, I mean, because some people are like, well, what's the value in that? It's a product you're trying to sell me. I mean, if you want to buy it, you can buy it. And I can do a 6-month guarantee or money back guarantee, So it's like, if the product doesn't work for you, awesome. I can get your money back. That's no issue. Because I believe in the product. And then people are always like, oh, well, yeah, I suppose if I'm not about to, risk that, then cool. Yeah, I'll try a product out. Absolutely. It was a recommendation because that's how we operate. I mean, most people, they operate on recommendations.
Yeah.
If you had never been to Chipotle, I know, big, like, whoa. If you'd never been there.
First of all, what are you doing?
Right. Yeah. Okay, here's our recommendation. Go to Chipotle. It's kind of good. But like, if you'd never been and someone that you knew and loved and like you had a relationship with, whether or not you love them, you know of them, their friend, I don't care.
Acquaintance.
Yeah. But like, they give you a raving recommendation. Like, dude, you have to go to Chipotle. This revolutionized my life. It's so good. You'd be like, okay, I'm probably going to go to Chipotle now. Like,
especially after they tell you a story of
exactly
how delicious it was and with their, all the things and stuff.
Because my family, so when the Chipotle came to West St. Paul, we went as a family and our entire family got food poisoning the first time we went. Our entire family, every last one of us, like literally the next day, we were all like super sick, like every one of us. And so none of us went to Chipotle for like the next 5 years. Like, it was a terrible experience. Yeah. And they even released a statement saying, hey, we had, I don't remember what it was, like E. coli or something stupid, like in the lettuce or whatever. So anyone who ate that, like, we're so sorry, but you probably got food poisoning. And like my whole family, we all got food poisoning. So we were like, oh my gosh. So we had a bad experience. So then whenever someone was like, oh, we're going to Chipotle, I was like, nah, count me out. People are like, wait, what? Are you serious? I now will go because I tried it again. Because I was like, okay, you know what? Everyone else keeps talking about how good it is. I'm going to try it again. Went and had it again. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love this place now. But the same thing goes for my products. If I'm sleazy about getting someone to buy something and I don't show them the value that it offers, and I'm not like, hey, this is the results I've seen from this. Or like, here's other testimonies from other people in my life who use these products. It's suddenly like, oh, well, yeah, okay, I'll try it out. Now they try it. Even if they don't have a good experience, maybe let's say, and when I say good experience, I mean like, let's say it doesn't solve the problem. Sure. Okay, maybe there's something else going on. But like, this dude was willing to like try and help me solve this problem. So there's not like a bad taste in their mouth because I didn't try
the joint pain.
Right, the joint pain. Like I didn't try and be sleazy about it. I was just like, hey, this is something that I've seen work. Is there any chance I can just get this to you so you can try it? And let's say it does work. What have I done? I've just built a customer. I've got someone now in my like on my team who's gonna rally the troops for me because they're like, dude, this guy's got something that changed my life, that helped me. I had this pain. I no longer have this pain. And they're gonna sell that darn product for me.
Dude, yeah.
And so it's like that mentality, or like that being willing to just listen in order to help instead of like listening to respond. You're listening to just to hear them and to make sure that they're being heard. Because if you're always listening to respond to something, you're not actually listening to what they're saying. Mm-hmm. And so that really affects relationships. It affects people because now it's like, okay, you're just waiting to try and one-up me with the next comment or the next thing. And people can feel that. Like legitimately, when I have a conversation with someone where they're just like, okay, you can like see it in their face where they're like just listening to what I'm saying simply so they can be like, all right, what statistic did he use to back his argument up? And do I have some, I don't know, goofy fact checker thing that says he's wrong? Like that's like, and it's like, okay, this conversation is just a waste of time because
kind of waiting to throw a sly comment in.
Right, exactly. Because it's like they're just trying to take back control somehow. And it's like, this isn't even about control, you goofball. Like I'm trying to help you and you're not even listening to be helped. You're just like, how can I prove this guy wrong? Like, okay, I'm done here. I'm not going to waste my time. You know, I mean, what is like the thing you should never do is argue with dumb people. Because like dumb people will just waste your time. And so I actually said this to a friend. He was like, hey, so what's like something like, what's one of your mottos? Where I was like, oh, it's don't argue with dumb people. And he was like, oh, well, I think that's like not like a good one. And I was like, you're right. The other people around were kind of like, oh, damn, did he just do that? And this dude didn't get it. It didn't click for him.
Just like,
everybody else there was like, oh, snap. And I was just like, you're right. Like, I'm not about to have this argument. I'm not about to discuss this.
I'm not going to waste my energy on somebody who...
You asked me my opinion on something and I gave it to you. And then you think, oh, no, I'm going to prove you... Like, dude, I'm done. I'm done now.
That's just like the ultimate mic drop statement you could ever say.
Yep. You're right. Bye-bye. Have a good life. No, it was very funny.
It's like the difference between... Not to go down a whole rabbit hole, but maybe just look into one. But
peer into the rabbit hole.
Into the rabbit hole. The people that will just spend so much time, waste so much time on like Facebook comments, YouTube comments.
The trolls.
Oh, yeah. Or even just like, I don't know if everybody who is a troll necessarily thinks they're a troll. They just like, oh, I want to share my opinion on this. And like,
yep.
And then they just get sucked in and it's like, I'll read some of those just for entertainment. But like, I just move on with my life.
Yep. I disabled notifications from Facebook because I was sick and tired. I was sick and tired. It sends me notification when a friend posts something that I haven't talked to this person in like 6 years. Why do you think I want a notification from them? Like, I haven't even interacted with them on here. And it's like, oh, yes, this person posted a photo. This person posted it. I'm like, dude, I don't care. And I have notifications on off from like all of the people.
Yeah.
I don't receive, no one has priority on my Facebook, nothing. I know how to work settings. So instead of allowing Facebook to decide that I should get notifications from people, I just muted all notifications from Facebook, period. And it's wonderful. I'll go 2 weeks without looking at Facebook. And then I'm like, oh, I'll check that. And it's like, you have 97 notifications. And I'm like, I don't care. I look to see if I was invited to anything. And then I get back off. Sometimes I'll check Marketplace. Like, any good deals? Nope. Just people trying to charge too much for junk. All right, bye.
See ya.
Later. Turn that app off again because I don't care.
It is really fascinating to me. So social media. Yeah, I was deciding whether I should get into this or not. I think we're gonna open a can of worms here. The role that it has in our lives versus the role that let me wind up. What role, Peter, do you think social media has had in your life, and kind of moving into how you've kind of discerned or discovered or decided the role you want it to have in your life?
Oh man.
Kind of where have you come from? What's your story there?
Yeah. Social media is a pitfall. Like, it's legitimately designed to rob you of your attention. There are crews of psychologists who their whole job, like their job is to design the algorithms in order to like keep your attention. I didn't know any of that when I downloaded Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook in the very beginning.
It's probably like high school.
Oh
age.
yeah. Early, like middle of high school, when my parents finally relaxed a little bit of grip. But honestly, I sort of wish they didn't. But it was bound to happen at some point. So kind of where it was is just this, like, it became an addiction of like, oh my gosh, it was like the dopamine hits of like the likes and the like, oh my gosh, I feel good when I'm like scrolling through this, or like my attention was like, hey, oh, well, okay, you've been on here for 2.5 hours. Like, what's just one more scroll? What's one more scroll? What's one more scroll 3 hours later? Like, oh my gosh, where's my day gone? What am I doing? I've gained nothing through this. And that is like a huge issue. And so then I went to the opposite extreme. I wouldn't say the opposite extreme, but I deleted everything. And I was like, this is all cancer. I need to get rid of it all. So I got rid of everything. And I found this like newfound freedom of like, whoa, I have so much time in my day. I used to like make all these excuses like, oh, I don't have time for these things. I don't have time for that stuff. Found out, wait a minute, I do have time for these things. And I've been like neglecting them because of social media, because I was putting my time, my attention, which is our number one resource, your time, your attention. And so
absolutely,
it's whoever owns your attention owns your mental space. They own like the projection of where your life is going. And so to me, that was like, oh, hey, I need to be aware of what I'm focused on. And if I have time to focus on these things. And so like disabling notifications from a lot of those apps has actually been a huge benefit for me, because I was like, you know what? I like the connectivity that I had. I like being able to reach out to people or see what people are going through or understand where a person's at in life. But then being like, well, I can set a timer on this. So I have like a daily limit use that I could set up on here if I need to. I mean, like, okay, 15 minutes for Facebook or 15 minutes for Instagram, whatever it is. And being like, is that a realistic amount of time or is it not? Because some people it's like, no, I need like 35, 40 minutes. And I'm like, okay, cool. But you have to be willing to like look at your day and say, have I done everything else that I have to do today? Because if you can't say, yep, I can do everything else in my day that I have to get done, and you still, and but you've prioritized, 45 minutes to an hour for Instagram and 35, 40 minutes for Facebook and like your 3 minutes here and there on Snapchat all day, replying to your friends and whatever else, and whatever other apps that people use, Twitter or whatever. If you if you don't like monitor what it is you're doing or like how much time you're spending on those things, it will suck you in. Especially like TikTok. Lord have mercy. Delete TikTok. Okay. That's like cancer for your brain.
It's a load of
Not
shit.
even going into the like China spying on you through it, but it's like legitimately it's cancer for your brain. It is ruining your attention span. It's making your attention span worse than a goldfish, which is about 2 seconds. So, where am I going with that? What I'm trying to say is, if you can figure out how to use something and not let it use you, you remain in control. You remain in charge. But if you don't put limits on it, it will rule you. It will take over your life.
Yes.
And you will sit back and you'll go, wow, where did my entire day? I had a day off today and I was planning on going to the store, going grocery shopping, buying these 4 things that I need for my dog or whatever else, or taking my dog to the vet. And now I've done nothing. And it's 8:00 at night and I have to go to bed because I have to wake up tomorrow morning for work. And I've done nothing. And you're like, what did I do with my day today? Now you've got a headache. You feel like crap. Like everything about you is just like, I can't believe I wasted my day, and that's when that guilt or that shame kind of sets in and you're like, oh man, like I wanted to do all these things. And then you're like, well, maybe I'm just not meant to do those things, or maybe I'm not meant to be that kind of person. And you just like start accepting all these lies and all this crap. And so it's like, no, hold it together and be like, hey, you know what? I can use this thing without it using me. I'm going to set some alarms. I'm going to set a screen time, timer on my phone. Most phones have that option, in order to not allow it to control you.
We'll break down some tips with that at the end here.
Yeah. But like being able to control something or have that control and not lose control of it is vital with social media, because let me tell you, there are teams of people that are legitimately trying to keep your attention there. That's their job. Once you recognize that, you can be like, hey, you know what? I can spend some time here, whether it's scrolling through reels or whatever. But once that timer goes off and it clicks for you, you gotta be done. Be like, okay, cool. It stopped.
Yeah.
Step away.
In the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, he discusses the importance of having cues set up in your life. And psychologically, there are triggers we can set for ourselves to essentially like remind us kind of what's happening, of our surroundings. I'll make a story to make it much more clear here, but I am sitting, let's take the social media example. I'm sitting on my phone and it's 7:30 p.m. Now it's 8:30 p.m. Now it's 9:30 p.m. Now it's 9:45. The door opens, the front door opens, and you look up, and your roommate walks in the door, and you turn your phone off and put it down and say, "Hey, what's up?" And all of a sudden, you stand up and you're having a conversation, and then, oh, it's I should probably go to bed soon. It's 9:45, and 10 p.m. by then. What happened there? You got sucked in. Your attention got sucked into a place. That could be watching a movie. It could be working on a project, doing homework, doing work. In this case, it was social media. Psychologically, what I'm saying is it could be a lot of different things. And the cue that broke your attention and triggered you being able to transition being, I was doing one thing and now I can kind of move into the next thing. Mm-hmm. And for some people, I have to kind of be like, oh, be aware that I'm doing something and be like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Oh, that's right. I was going to call my mom. I'm going to call my mom. Like, we could obviously forget about that. But the science of it is that there's actually a cue there that helps us kind of break out of it and into a new thing. This happens for dogs all the time. Door opens and woof, 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 and they just like go bad shit crazy. Yep. And one of the things that a dog trainer taught me was they actually get into a frenzy where they're tunnel visioned. And if you say their name, if you say, hey, knock it off, hey, Ghost or whatever their dog's name is, and Winston, like Peter's dog, and they don't even hear you, even though they like are usually attentive to their name or whatever, And he's like, we actually have to break their attention with one of the strategies is we got a sandbag and we chuck it at the wall. Boom. And it startles the dog and then they jolt and they look and all of a sudden you have their attention now. You broke out of their frenzy. Another one is like one of my favorites is spray bottle with water. You just start misting the crap out of their face and then they're like, huh? What? Oh. And then you get their attention back and you're like, hey, knock it off. It's like they don't know they do that, but you actually have to train them to break out of it and to teach them how they should behave. But you need to have their attention to teach them. So it's like, how can we use tactics to basically create a cue for them? And eventually they hear the cue once and immediately they know what to do. You know what I mean? And we can psychologically do the same thing ourselves. And the timer is really great. I'm going to set, 15 minutes. And you can actually go and program in that too. On iPhone, it's under the screen time. And you can literally just like create an app limit. It's really well described. You can like look up an article on YouTube or Google to learn how to do it. It take you like maybe 3 minutes to read it and implement it.
Yeah. And
that all of a sudden it says, hey, screen time is up. And it just pops up on the screen and you basically hit okay. And all of a sudden that app is like locked for the rest of the day.
Yep.
And that creates a cue that helps you move into the next part of your day. So it's like, okay, I don't know, John, that I have the ability to take control of my attention. Great. A lot of people start that way, like that dog. But what you can do is you can take control of it by creating a system to train your mind psychologically. All of a sudden, you might not need that timer for 15 minutes. You might just like be more aware because of a cue you're able to set up. Or, there's a million different examples of cues, but I think it's a great concept. And I think that's why I wanted to drive it home here. But maybe the last one I'll use is like a toothbrush example where people are like, oh, I can't brush my teeth. I never remember. It's like, okay, well, how could you take ownership of brushing your teeth every night? All right, sit down and think about it. Use your damn brain a little bit. And a lot of people, we don't have any tools in the tool belt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to give us all some tools in the tool belt. But eventually we get to a point where we grow and are formed a bit more. We're able to take control of that process ourselves. But it's like set out your toothbrush or, flossing picks, take them out of the bag, put them into a jar, put the jar on the counter on your sink. Now you're more likely to floss because you'll see them when you walk into the bathroom.
Yep.
As opposed to, oh, they're under the sink and in the bag and all the steps. It's like any way you can create a cue to trigger your memory of like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to floss. And it's like it's like a biology hack. Like work with yourself, not against yourself.
Yeah. I was going to say one of my biggest cues that I use for Winston, whenever someone comes over, he gets very excited. He's a big German Shepherd, about 90 pounds, but he, I don't need a 90-pound German Shepherd rushing the door or like jumping up on people when they come to my house. That's an absolute no. I want people to feel welcome in my home, not feel like my dog's going to kill them. And so
makes sense.
When he gets into that frenzy, I have a tone of whistle. So I whistle and I'm able to whistle in a lot of different formats. I can whistle a lot of tunes and I can whistle extremely loud. And so I hit him with a certain tone of whistle.
It's one of your secret powers, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And his ears will spin around. They're like, it's like on a submarine when they got the periscope goes up, his ears turn around and they look at me and then I can command him by his name. And it's like that instant where he hears the whistle and he knows if he doesn't respond to that whistle, that he gets put in timeout. Or I'll make him like I'll get a hold of him and I'll make him lay down. And he can't stand it because then the people come in the house and he's in a forced charge where he's laying down and he knows he's not allowed to get up. And if he gets up, then I get a hold of him and I put him back into that same position. And I continue to push him into that position until he learns that he has to stay. Now he's 2.5 years old at this point. So that's not a big deal anymore. He's very like receptive to it. And he's like, okay. So if I just respond to that whistle and I stop and I listen and I don't get super, super excited and I sit there and I wait for that person to come to me, He's like, then I get pets and I get to see them. He's like, oh, okay, I can do that. And he'll like sit and he'll wait, and his tail is just brushing all of his own fur off the floor, whatever. And then he gets pets and he loves it. And so he's like, okay, I just have to stay and wait. I have to contain my excitement, and then I get the reward. And so, and that works great for him. You had mentioned though the brushing your teeth. I used to suck at that. And so what I did was I would take my toothbrush after I brushed in the morning, because I had it next to my sink. I would go stick it on my pillow.
Yeah.
Because then when I would go to bed, I'd be like, ah, damn, didn't brush my teeth, but here's my toothbrush. Hop up, go run into the bathroom, brush my teeth. Good enough. And then I'd leave it in the bathroom.
Yeah.
In the morning, because in the morning, where am I going? Into the bathroom to get ready in the morning. So it's sitting there waiting for me.
It's brilliant.
And then when I go back into my room that next morning, where do I go? I carry my toothbrush, I toss it on my pillow.
And is that something you read online, or how did you kind of come up with that and implement that? Was that someone's suggestion? Or
I made it up.
Yeah.
I legit was just like, dude, I was like, this is a bad problem. Like, I was like, this is kind of a gross problem to have. And so I just started putting it in my bedroom. And then I was like, you know what? I'll do one better, because I'd put it next to my bed. Then I stuck it on my pillow. And I was like, now I have to move it. So I have to make the conscious effort of moving the darn thing. So if I'm going to move it, I'm going to get up and go brush
you move
my
it,
teeth.
It's already in your hand.
Right.
You might as well just walk into the bathroom.
Yes, exactly. And
that's the brilliance of cues. It's like, it makes it so easy. How could you not do it? And that's the point. Like, the more solutions you can figure out in your life to take, right? Because we were talking about this control we can have for social media and stuff like that. It's like, we need to take control and be in charge of our attention. And so, like, this is like an example of, like, there are easy solutions you can brainstorm and implement, commit to, and maybe they don't work and you try a different one, right? But after testing a few times, you're like, okay, you get something that works. Like, I would continuously forget my lunch going to work. You know what I did? How do you get to work? I get in my car and go to work.
Put your keys in your lunchbox?
Dude, if I've gotten out to my car and I open the door and it's locked, and I reach in my hand in my pocket and there's no keys there, and I go, where did I put them? And then I immediately remember, oh yeah, I put them inside my lunchbox. So I go into the fridge, open the door, grab my lunchbox, open the lunchbox, grab my keys. Now I have my lunchbox. Then I'm already ready to leave. I walk to the car and I have my lunch. So in the lunchbox, on top of the lunchbox, I always put them in the fridge.
Yep.
It's like, there's no way I could forget it now. And that's a great example of a cue. And eventually I just built the habit of going to the fridge and grabbing my lunchbox before going to work. But I had to build that somehow. The best way to do that is to find some kind of cue.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I have multiple friends who that's how they solve that issue, is because they're like, otherwise I just keep going out to, it was like, I'll just keep going out to eat. And they're like, because I never remember to grab my food from my house. And I was like, well, just put your keys in your lunchbox. Watch how quick that changes. And they're like, dude, I went to go to work this morning and I didn't have my keys. And they're like, so I ran around my house frantically looking for my keys until I remembered, I stuck them in my lunchbox.
Yeah.
Like, common problem, but hey, there's a solution.
I figured it out. That's the solution, guys. Never forget your lunch again.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Never. Unless you don't make a lunch.
Unless your friend picks you up for work that day and you don't drive your car.
Yeah, well.
In which case, you'll try to lock your house and you won't have your keys. So
correct.
I'm still right. Boom.
Boom. Roasted.
Boom. Roasted. Yeah. I love just to kind of leave people on a note, Pete, if you want to give a crack at this whole kind of being proactive with having kind of control, an aspect of control and ownership. We talked about self-leadership in our last episode.
Yeah.
Are there some ways you would want to kind of tie a message together on some of these topics?
Yeah, I think.
What are your final thoughts, I suppose, would be a good way to put it.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts with Peter Gjengdahl.
Peter Gjengdahl. For me, if I don't keep control, like if I don't have the control, then that means someone else has the control. And I don't want someone else or something else to have control of my life. I'm 28 years old. I feel like I'm old enough to have control in my own life, to be in control. And so if I give that to someone else or something else, then that has to be like a choice that I make. And so if I physically make that choice, then okay, I made that choice. But if I do it by accident or because I was lazy, I just feel like I'm not being the man of purpose that I'm supposed to be. And so I think what I would say to anyone listening is to be in charge of your life, to be willing to make that decision, as much as, those are hard decisions of like, oh, I want to scroll.
Right.
I love reels. I love, Instagram reels, dude, they're addicting. It's by design. So be in control of that and don't let it control you. So make the choice before you open the app. Yes. This is how long I'm going to use it for. I know one of my buddies would do, he was like, I can spend a half hour on Instagram each day. And so he was like, I can use it all up at once. I can use 5 minutes on each of my breaks at work. Like, he was like, but it's up to me. He's like, I get that much time. So now I have to decide where I want to use that time. And that was him taking that control of, even though I've set the limit, I still have control of when I get to use this thing. And so it was like getting to decide. And then once that timer hits, no matter how you used it that day, you've used up your time. And so it was like that bit of control. It was like, all right, I have this control, but then like, okay, it still ultimately can't control me because I have a safety, a dead switch, if you will, that stops me from losing control. So don't lose control. Stay in control.
Take ownership for your life. Don't take the victim mentality. Don't let your bitch voice control you.
Yes.
Say it as it is. Understand how these things work and don't make excuses for it. We don't write ads on here, guys. We never will. We just do this show just to offer as much value as we can to men our age, younger guys, anyone who's coming up wants to become a strong man. We drop new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So subscribe to the show so you never miss a moment. And lastly, if you found this episode valuable, we just ask that you share it with a friend who needs to hear this message today. And like I said, we just want to help more men become dangerous. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. You've been listening to the Dangerous Man Podcast. Tune in next time. Until then, stay dangerous.